Boom. All right, so today I'm going to be talking about social media platforms, specifically the social media platforms that are dominating the market right now. So that's going to be YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, which I think are the four, major social media companies right now. So Facebook is owned by Mark Zuckerberg, as is Instagram, and YouTube is owned by Google, and Twitter is owned, well, mainly by Jack Dorsey. All right, so let's get into it. So I didn't actually make these charts, but I find them really useful, so I'll just be talking over them. So YouTube is, well, I guess you could say it's in some ways a discussion platform, but mainly for the majority, I'd say 99% of its content is, it's just video content. So YouTube is a platform which people upload videos to. Now, if we first look at the gender distribution, there isn't a huge disparity, although 10% is still considerable. So YouTube has a more male audience, which actually for me is probably better because since rap, which is a genre I have chosen, is more listened to by males. And if we look at the age range, what those figures mean is that 85% of 13 to 17-year-olds use YouTube, 91% of 18 to 29-year-olds use YouTube, etc., etc. And so that's good because you can see that the demographic of people on YouTube are young, and that's good because that's the demographic of people that listen to rap music as well. And if you look at the location stats here, it shows that a lot of people in urban places use YouTube, which isn't surprising because they have internet connection, and I'm sure they have technologies if they're living in apartments and stuff. Well, everyone has an internet connection nowadays, but it's more common in cities. As well as that, the income distribution is pretty standard, although there are people that make quite a lot of money who are using YouTube. And, well, it's pretty much, 91% of 18 to 29-year-olds is a lot of people, so there is a huge audience for you to broadcast to. As far as music videos go, I think this is probably the best place for music videos to go because people don't just go to YouTube to watch the music video, they go there for sort of free streaming of it. And so a lot of the times you'll see people with YouTube open and they're using it to listen to music, so it's not just they're not just there to watch the video, they're also just there to listen to the music. As well as that, the videos being monetized means you can make profit off of it, which is always, it's always great. So 80% of college plus educated people are on YouTube, which is also great because then, you have a lot of educated people watching the content, which, whether or not it's what you want, it's probably a good thing because they'll be members of high society. So next we'll talk about Twitter. Now, immediately you see here that Twitter has a much smaller user base. So 24% of males and 21% of females use it. Again, slightly more males, this time less so. And so mainly looking at this, what you can see is you have a much smaller audience, but you have a much more niche audience. Now, what I've noticed about Twitter is that the users on Twitter think of themselves as having more superior discussions, if that makes any sense. So I guess they prefer sort of highbrow content. I haven't seen much music video promotion specifically going around on Twitter. It's not common for the music video itself to be uploaded to Twitter, although it's very common for artists to, put something on Twitter the day the music video drops. Hey, go check out my music video on YouTube. Now, if we look at the stats, it's just showing you that not that many people use Twitter, but it's always a good way to reach out and personally communicate with your audience because although YouTube is a video uploading platform used by a lot more people, you don't get to send out custom messages like you do on Twitter. So Twitter is more of like a fan service, more like a fan interaction type of thing. So you definitely do have to incorporate that. If you don't have Twitter, it'd be much harder to market your video. Next, looking at Instagram, and now we have a switch up where they have a much bigger, larger female user base and male user base. again, well, 12%, so around the 10% disparity that you have on Facebook. Now, if you look here, the user base on Instagram is really young. So majority, well, not majority of their users, but the greatest percentile of their user base age is 13 to 17, which is, well, it's all right because teenagers have this thing called share culture, where they like to repost things on their Instagram stories. It's a really good way to get messages around, whether it be sort of activism or music videos or news or whatever it may be that they're sharing at the time. So Instagram is really good to use for promotion because, well, it's mainly a picture uploading platform, but you can upload short clips too. So it'd be good to upload a preview of your music video onto Instagram and sort of caption that as a fan service, and it'd bring more people to your video. And so looking at this, Instagram has a very urban user base, and it's not surprising because it's very focused on aesthetic and food and, you know, all that stuff. And that's more of a city life type of thing. And finally, moving on to Facebook. Here again, the trend continues. It has more female users than male users. However, it's very important to note that Facebook has a very, very large number of users, although in this study it's not shown as much because they may not be very active. And as well as this, their user base is much older. So if you're looking to push something to the older generation, Facebook is definitely the platform to go and not Instagram, because maybe it's easier to navigate, I don't know, but it is very much more popular if you look at the age percentiles up there. And 46% of 65 plus year olds use Facebook, so it's the best way to reach out to the elderly for sure. And if you look at the location usage, looking at that 66% rural stat, that's a very cool thing to see because on the other platforms you don't see such engagement from people who aren't in cities. And as well as the income levels are, you know, it looks like, well, it just looks like Facebook has a very big user base, same thing, same as YouTube. However, Facebook is sort of this multifaceted platform. You could put pictures there, you could put videos there, you could put text there. Really, you could put anything on Facebook. And I think that's the cool thing. And when something blows up on Facebook, it really blows up because it's a multi-generational blow up. You know, it's not just, you know, on Instagram where the teenagers will see it, or on Twitter where, you know, a slightly older audience will see it, you know, young adults. On Facebook, it's everyone. And so Facebook is a very good, I'd say it's like the all-round platform, if you will. So if you're going to do something on Facebook, you can't really go wrong with putting it on there. You know, you're always going to hit, you know, whatever audience you're going for is probably going to be on Facebook. And so it's a very safe option. But I think you have to use a combination of all of these social media platforms in order to be successful. But personally, for me, I think I'd focus on YouTube. YouTube would be a must because, you know, that's just where all the action happens concerning music videos. And that's where it's going to gain the most traction, probably. That's where most music videos are uploaded nowadays. So, yeah, well, that's it. Thank you for listening.